Hey everybody, Mac here. Welcome to my Movie Rants channel. Please don't forget to like this channel and subscribe. Click the little bell so you are notified for every rant that I have. Hopefully we can get these going on a weekly basis. Let's get started today. If you could not tell by my attire and the joyous stuff in the background there, I'm doing a Star Wars based rant today, and specifically, since you probably already saw the title, it is about The Last Jedi. I grew up with Star Wars. I grew up with the toys. I grew up with the movies. Star Wars is a huge part of my pop culture, my nerd culture, whatever you want to call it. When Star Wars was re-released in 1979 in the theaters, I was 1 year old, and I was taken to the theater by my uncle and my mom. And supposedly there was this big spaghetti dinner beforehand, right when the trench battle started. I threw up all over the place, mortifying my family. That was my first Star Wars experience, and my most recent Star Wars experience in the theater was indeed Solo: A Star Wars Story, which I told you on the last video. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm going to talk a little bit about why I like some of these Star Wars movies and why I hate some of these Star Wars movies, but it's really going to lead up to The Last Jedi. Now let's talk about the original trilogy. Now when I say the original trilogy, I mean episodes 4, 5, and 6, okay? I'm not talking about 1, 2, and 3. I will shortly, but let's talk about the original trilogy, okay? So there are so many people that hold the original trilogy in such a high regard, and for good reason. They're really good movies, all right? Even Ewokapalooza is even a good movie. I'm going to say something, and I might get some people angry with this. The strength of Star Wars does not lie within its twisty narrative, obviously. It lies within its characters and its world building. And that's what I think the original trilogy did so well. And it did it so well with pioneering techniques and special effects, and with set design, and with character design and makeup. All of that came together to put like an amazing film, science fiction, or some people wouldn't call it science fiction. Some people actually just call it an amazing fantasy film that people have never seen anything like it before. And the characters are so endearing or so evil, you can't help but love every single one of them. And think about the characters from the original trilogy. Like the main cast of characters. Like Luke Skywalker, yes, he's a whiny little, pain in the butt. You still don't want to root against him. You got Han Solo, who's one of the greatest characters of all time. You have Princess Leia, besides the fact that she has that British accent in the beginning of Star Wars. That goes away after a little bit. But, you have Princess Leia, who turns into be a super strong, awesome female character. You have Obi-Wan Kenobi, which was such a great performance by Alec Guinness, considering the dude didn't even want to be there and thought it was the most ridiculous thing he'd ever done. You got Chewbacca, who is so wonderful and never says a freaking word. You have Lando Calrissian, Billy D, say no more. Can't wait to see him come back. But you have all these great... Oh my god, I almost forgot about Darth Vader. And Darth Vader, the most iconic villain in movie history. You have these great characters throughout all three films, and you're so invested in them. You see them triumph, you see them fail, like all of Empire, you see them fail, and then you see them triumph again in the ultimate victory over the Empire at the end of Return of the Jedi, which also brings me up Wedge Antilles, one of my favorite characters. By the way, he was the one that took down the second Death Star. You want to argue about it? Again, that's what the comments are for. And that's what I think drew everybody into those original Star Wars movies, episodes 4, 5, and 6. The world building and the characters, unprecedented how amazing they were. So when Return of the Jedi came out, I was 5 years old. And at that point, I remember actually sitting in the theater and watching Return of the Jedi, and I'm like, okay, that's over. Star Wars is done. Yeehaw. And then I'm in college, and they start talking about a new trilogy. Like, what? George Lucas, the mastermind behind the original trilogy, is doing the new trilogy. Oh my gosh. So at this time, this was 1997. This is when the internet was still in its early stages, so you couldn't go on there and watch the trailers like you can now. There were people going to the theater to see the trailers for this. Like, we were listening at all times, listening to news radio, trying to figure out what the title was going to be called. When we heard Phantom Menace, we're like, that's kind of dumb, but hey, it's Star Wars, we'll see what happens. I even had in the anticipation of the Phantom Menace coming out, I even had a dream that it ended up being like an art house flick and it was like a horrible nightmare. Then the Phantom Menace came out. And at this point, this is when you could not pre-order tickets. So what we did, we went out to a brand new theater At that time, we bought all the tickets, and then we did this big caravan out to the theater. We went and grabbed our seats early. I remember my brother brought an R2-D2 noisemaker to play after every preview, and then he dropped it after the 20th Century Fox fanfare, and everybody told him to shut up. That was also pretty funny. So it was a spectacle to go see The Phantom Menace, even in suburbia. It's a spectacle to go see a brand new Star Wars movie because it's a brand new Star Wars movie. And then it happened. Now, I look at it in retrospect, and we tried to make it good. We tried to pump ourselves up like, oh, no, that was cool. There was nothing wrong with that. That was fun. Phantom Menace, woo. But then you think about it like, no, it's a piece of junk. And there's a lot of reasons that that's a piece of junk, and I don't have time to go into them right now. In my opinion, though, of the episodes 1, 2, and 3, 1 is still the strongest, mainly because of that final lightsaber duel. Episode 2 just got worse. That was a meandering mess. And then episode 3, watch episode 3 again. It's like unbearably bad. The last time I watched episode 3, I think I threw a pillow at my TV. It's awful. Like, from the acting to the story, Order 66 even existing and making it that quick and making every Jedi look like a chump, it's just horrible. So then we fast forward to around 2012, 2013, when we find out that Disney bought Lucasfilm and they're making new Star Wars movies. Even though I've been burned in the past, it's Star Wars. I love Star Wars. So I was like, yeah, let's go. Then they announced the title, The Force Awakens. But more importantly, what they announced was the director. And that's when I got excited. J.J. freaking Abrams. The man behind Lost, Alias. Oh, and I forgot about Star Trek reboots as well. He did those too. Great movie. So like, yes. Saw it on opening night. I actually saw it at a movie tavern. Very cool. I still like that movie. Yes, I'm well aware of the fact that it just kind of rehashes episode 4. I get it, okay? But I still liked it because it went back to not only having endearing characters, but unlike episodes 1, 2, and 3, it had characters and dialogue that you could actually kind of get behind. Like, Rey is a very intriguing character. And in episode 7, notice I said in episode 7, Finn is a very intriguing character. The return of Han Solo was fantastic. The death of Han Solo. I saw that movie 3 times in the theater, and every single time I saw it, my gut wrenched when Han Solo got stabbed and thrown down in the pit because that's my childhood, man. That was Han freaking Solo, and now he's out. I mean, Harrison Ford went out the way he wanted to go out, so good for him, but he's out. He's gone. I liked episode 7. Then they announced they're going to do some spin-off movies. So then Rogue One came out, and I really liked Rogue One as well because Rogue One was essentially the one sentence from the crawl of episode 4 turned into an entire movie. And it was kind of war movie-esque, more great characters, especially Jyn Erso. She was great and led this actual rebellion. I really like Rogue One. I know there are a lot of people that do not, but I am a fan of Rogue One as well. So going into episode 8, going into The Last Jedi, man, I was super excited. And I saw the previews. I'm like, awesome. We finally get to see Mark Hamill come back as Luke Skywalker. And oh, man. I know I've gone on for a little bit here, but my reasons for disliking The Last Jedi. Here we go. First off, it starts off with a cell phone joke. Process that for a little bit, everyone. This is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Why do you have a cell phone joke? Second, Rose. Horrible character. Absolutely horrible, pointless character. Her motivations are all over the place. And for some reason, they decided to do a little bit of a, kind of little romance between her and Finn. That Finn is just like, oh, what? I didn't even know you like me. So that was awful. Third, how about Finn, who was set up to have such a cool kind of story, and then Force Awakens is now completely wasted in this movie. He was comic relief, and he went on a mission that leads into my number 4. He went on the mission to Canto Bight that eventually was this huge plot device that went nowhere, and it was just an excuse to have another action scene because they go, oh, we have to go find the hacker, and oh, we didn't find the hacker, but we found this guy that looks like the Collector from Guardians of the Galaxy, and we will get him to help us, but oh, he doesn't help us, he turns us over to the Empire. Well, it just happens to have us on the big Star Destroyer when it starts to blow up, just conveniently. Oh, hey, great. Stupid. Ooh, another issue, the hacker. Why couldn't they just make the hacker Lando Calrissian? It's perfect. He's like this underhanded dude. He's been like, behind the scenes since the whole fall of the rebellion and, rise of the First Order. And he comes in and he swoops in and he helps these two. And then instead of him turning to the dark side, he could have been like, yes, I did it. And then the First Order could have killed him. It would have been like the hero way to go out. But no, Benicio del Toro. Got nothing against Benicio del Toro, but like, it didn't need to be there. Backtracking again, another problem I have. The central conflict in The Last Jedi is the big ship chasing all the little ships. That's the central conflict. Essentially, it's a chase in space, which means it's a slow, boring chase. That's the plot of the movie. Now, yes, I know I'm contradicting myself when I said I know plot is not the central focus of these Star Wars movies, but it still has to be just a tiny bit more interesting than that. Oh my God. Let's see. Captain Phasma returns and actually does less than she did in The Force Awakens. It's such a cool looking character. And we find out that blaster shots bounce off of her armor. Why can't they just make every stormtrooper blaster proof? What is... I never liked Poe Dameron. I didn't like him in The Force Awakens. I don't like him here. I don't like his basic just like, I'm trying to be Han Solo, but I'm not because I'm Poe Dameron. There's also no reason for Purple Laura Dern Admiral to not tell him what they were doing until the last minute. That makes no sense. Why would you hold that from him? Leia as Mary Poppins. Don't even get me freaking started on that. That would have been the perfect way to have Leia go out. And then instead of Purple Laura Dern Admiral turning the ship and crashing it into the big dreadnought, I think that's what it's called, a dreadnought, you could have had Leia do it. You had two opportunities to get rid of Princess Leia. And I hate to use the words get rid of, but you want to give her a hero's exit because, Carrie Fisher isn't around and, she died during the production of The Last Jedi. So wouldn't you think you want to edit in a way to like have her go out? Got more. Snoke, another great character that could have gone in so many different directions. Went out like a punk because of Kylo Ren. So did I like anything about The Last Jedi? I sure did. I think the only thing I liked was the relationship and the arc between Rey and Luke. And yes, I like Luke's crotchety old man bit. I loved his force projection at the end. I did like the way he went out. I thought that was really heroic. And that's the kind of end I think Leia could have had by crashing that ship into the dreadnought. I like Rey's progression as we see that just like, Luke is not the last Jedi, but Rey could be the last Jedi. I'm super thrilled that Rian Johnson does not have his hands in the next movie. Although he really wanted to try something different, and that's great. And a lot of critics, I shouldn't say that. Most critics praised him for trying something different. It didn't work. It was junk, okay? No matter how much I dislike The Last Jedi, and I think I made some good points as to why I don't like it. I'm gonna go see everything that is Star Wars. There are nutso Star Wars fans out there. There are some that are way worse than I am. We're gonna go see whatever you do. I'm not going to see a preview for a Star Wars movie and go, no, I'm not gonna go see that. It doesn't happen. Rian Johnson's gonna make a new trilogy. I'm gonna go see the new trilogy. If they make an Obi-Wan standalone, I'm gonna go see Obi-Wan standalone. You bet I'm gonna be in the seats the opening night of Episode 9. This is what a Star Wars fan does. Unfortunately, we've been burned more than we have been rewarded for Star Wars. I don't know if I like Solo so much because it was such a change and so different than The Last Jedi. I've watched Solo like 3 times and I still like it. By the way, before anybody gets on my case, I have watched The Last Jedi about 3 times. And I still don't like it. We as Star Wars fans will see everything. We will encapsulate ourselves with everything that is Star Wars because we are fans. Personally, why do I have Star Wars Legos? Construct your own lightsabers, Kylo Ren masks. Why do I have all this Star Wars crap around my house? Because I'm a Star Wars fan. I love it. And I'm going to continue to love it, even though I'm going to continue to get burned. And I know I'm going to get burned. I've accepted this. But I'm still sticking by it because it's Star Wars. And I love Star Wars. So, do you agree with the points I have made about The Last Jedi? Do you agree about the minor points I made about the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, Rogue One, Solo? If you do or don't, please put some comments down there. I had some great comments last time, and I want to thank everybody that left them. I had so many people request a rant about The Last Jedi. So, there you go, guys. That was my rant about The Last Jedi. Trust me, I could have made it about 25 minutes longer, but I want to actually keep a viewing base, okay? So again, If you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel yet, please do. Leave some comments, and may the Force be with you, no matter how crappy it might be. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out.